Today, we're going to be talking about California and why California cannot afford to get this primary wrong. This is a call for Democrats to unite behind Xavier Becerra before it's too late. We're talking about California because there's a political crisis that most people outside the state aren't paying close attention to. California is not going to turn red, but here's the thing, it doesn't have to. Under California's top two primary system, where the two highest vote getters advance to November, regardless of party, a fragmented Democratic field could hand the governor's mansion to a Republican. And the primary is June 2nd, and early voting has already started. Let that sink in. Two Republicans on the November ballot in California. Not because Republicans are suddenly popular, but it's because Democrats can't get out of each other's way. So where do things stand? The polling aggregates through mid-May tell a clear story. Two Republicans, Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton, are consolidating their vote. Meanwhile, the Democratic field is splintered across 6 or 7 candidates, each pulling just enough support to make the math dangerous. This is not a theoretical risk. That is what the numbers show right now. But here's the good news. The most recent polls, there is a Democrat who can win, and his name is Xavier Becerra. Becerra is not a political novelty. He is one of the most accomplished public servants in California history. Born in Sacramento to immigrant parents, he studied at Stanford Law. He was 25 years in the U.S. House of Representatives, where he became the first Latino to chair the House Democratic Caucus, the fourth highest leadership position in the House. He was California's Attorney General from 2017 to 2021. And during those years, his office filed or joined over 100 legal actions against the Trump administration. These were not symbolic protests, they were actual lawsuits, many of which he won. He defended Obamacare and the Dreamers Act. He challenged the Muslim ban. He fought the rollback of clean air standards. Then President Biden named him Secretary of Health and Human Services, the first Latino ever to hold that cabinet position. He managed the tail end of the COVID response. He implemented the historic insulin price cap under the Inflation Reduction Act, and he defended reproductive rights after Dobbs. So this is a man who has already fought Trump, and he has won. And has a track record to show for it in a state that is now the primary institutional counterweight to a federal government actively targeting California's climate policies, its immigrant communities, its healthcare system. That resume matters enormously. Now let's talk about the elephant, or rather the hedge fund manager in the room, Tom Steyer. Steyer has positioned himself as the progressive champion of this race, the environmentalist, the anti-corporate crusader, the man who will tax the wealthy and rebuild California. And to sell that image, he has spent massively. By mid-April, he was outspending his nearest Democratic rival at the ratio of, I want you to hear this clearly, 150 to 1. That is not a campaign advantage. That is a financial takeover of a democratic election. But here's what Steyer is hoping you will forget, where that money came from. Tom Steyer made his billions as the founder and CEO of Farallon Capital, one of the world's largest hedge funds. And Farallon did not build its fortune by being socially responsible. Farallon invested in coal projects. Farallon invested in payday lenders, the predatory short-term loan industry that targets low-income communities. And Farallon invested in private prison companies that operated immigration detention centers. Let me repeat that. The man that says he's running as California's great progressive hope built his fortune investing in coal, the worst fossil fuel, payday lending, and immigrant detention camps. He stepped down as CEO in 2012, but the wealth he accumulated and the very dollars that are now flooding California's airwaves were made at Farallon. The conscience came after the fortune. That's an awkward biography for someone asking voters to trust them as the authentic environmentalist in the race. And it gets worse. California state election regulators have opened an investigation into Steyer's campaign over payments to social media influencers, most of whom never disclosed they were being paid to promote his candidacy. Manufactured grassroots support, astroturfing funded by hedge fund billions. He even donated $310,000 to Jane Fonda's foundation. And then, wouldn't you know it, she endorsed Steyer. The betrayal of our revolution and the unions. Now, here's where this story gets genuinely enraging, especially if you're a progressive. Who has endorsed Tom Steyer? Our Revolution, the organization Bernie Sanders founded to fight the billionaire class. The California Labor Federation, SEIU Union, the California Nurses Association. Our Revolution's own slogan is Fight Oligarchy. Their founding mission is, and I'm quoting directly, to fight for a government that works for all of us, not the billionaire class. And yet, there they are, endorsing a hedge fund billionaire who is outspending all other Democrats combined with his own personal fortune, while his campaign is under investigation for deceptive influencer marketing. The California Labor Federation's own president declared that our enemy is the big tech billionaires. Apparently, hedge fund billionaires who invest in coal and private prisons are a different matter entirely. This is not a minor inconsistency. These organizations spent 15 years building an intellectual and political case against Citizens United, against dark money, against billionaires buying elections. And now they are enabling the most billionaire-funded gubernatorial campaign in California history. There is no coherent explanation for this. There is only the uncomfortable question of what exactly these organizations are fighting for and whether their endorsements mean anything at all. So here's my call to action. What needs to happen in the next few days? Betty Yee already did the right thing. She read the polling, assessed the landscape honestly, and withdrew. That took political maturity, and she deserves credit for it. Katie Porter, Antonio Villaraigosa, Tony Thurmond, Matt Mahan. The numbers have been clear for months. None of them are breaking through. Every vote they hold is a vote that could push a Republican into the top two. The window for strategic consolidation is closing. And to Our Revolution, to the California Labor Federation, to SEIU, and the nurses, and YATSE, withdraw your endorsements of Tom Steyer. Endorse Xavier Becerra, not because he's perfect, but because he has spent his entire career fighting for working families, for immigrants, for healthcare access, for environmental protection, and because the alternative to unity right now might be a Republican governor of California. California's top two primary was never designed to allow a fragmented Democratic majority to hand the state to a party that hasn't won a statewide race here in 20 years. But that's exactly what will happen if voters, candidates, and progressive organizations don't act with urgency. Xavier Becerra has already fought Trump. He knows the terrain. He knows the law. And he didn't build his campaign war chest investing in coal mines and detention centers. Unite behind Becerra. The primary is June 2nd, although early voting is already going on now. The window is closing. Thank you.